We welcome the night.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Horror Night Oasis, a radio show where we discuss all the latest movies and news from the world of horror. Joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host, Ian. Ian, are you there?
I am here.
I would say how's it going, but I kind of don't want to spread that, say that off the top because I know it's not really a good day here on your end, but because that just came out of nowhere. But we're here. We're going to try to move past that. October is behind us. That was an interesting marathon, and we're here to start up our next marathon for November, and I've been looking forward to this marathon since I kind of came up with the idea, very early on, I think July or something, or when we first started doing marathons, and I was like, okay, I can't wait to, I'm interested in this, and a bunch of things started to come out for, this marathon, and sadly I couldn't come up with a name because it's been a weird week with October ending and Halloween and people trick-or-treating in large quantities around the place where I live and, not knowing how to move out in front of a moving vehicle. It was just what is wrong with people? And then we had a blue moon, and then we had all kinds of other things, and everything, again, real-world shit going down where it's just oh, you didn't think the year could get any worse? Here's November. And then we have, Sean Connery dying, and then Eddie Van Halen dying. I don't think I mentioned that, but Sean Connery dying, and then here's the election, and then here's shit going down there.
Yeah.
So we're at the beginning of the year. It's at the end of the year now. It's Jesus Christ, where everything's going crazy and ballistic with all these. It has, man, and sadly, I wish we had a better film to start this marathon off with. This is the one I was looking. As soon as I heard the synopsis of this one, very early on, when it came out earlier this year, man, that sounds awesome. I can't wait to see that one. And sadly, again, synopsis and what you have in your head, two different things. And sadly, we'll get into it. But, yeah, we're here to continue, well, not continue, but to start our Scarecrow marathon. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to come up with a name, so it's a work in progress. I had a few titles, but I don't want to give those out yet. But, who knows, next week it might have a name. But so far, it's a Scarecrow marathon for right now until the next show. But, yeah, our film for review tonight is Scarecrow's Revenge. This is a 2019 film directed by Louisa Warren, and I looked up Louisa Warren recently, and I think we're going to be reviewing a lot of her films because she did nothing but Scarecrow movies. So yeah, there's a few titles. She's like the director who did Robert the Doll. Like, she's going to come out with a Scarecrow movie every year. So it's like, oh, Jesus. But nonetheless, Scarecrow's Revenge, and the whole reason that this one interested me is because it's a Scarecrow set in the Middle Ages with Vikings. And I was like, that sounds awesome. And then the film started, and then like, oh boy, there goes that one right out the window.
Yeah.
But the film, I don't even really want to get into the beginning of the film because it takes place in like 802, 802, and then it skips ahead to 810. So there's really no reason except for like, oh, there's a Scarecrow, and it doesn't really even make sense. I guess it kind of does, because you don't think of it like, oh, that's just a throwaway scene, the opening, but then you kind of think later on in the film, like, maybe it doesn't get brought up at all. But I'm assuming that it has something to do with Jarl and his wife, and that's the reason that it came to life at 802. I'm not exactly sure. Ian knows what I'm talking about, but I'm not exactly sure on that, because they bring up something, which we'll get into spoilers a little bit later, that could have been the case to where everything leads to later on in the end of the movie. But nonetheless, something happens in 802, and the Scarecrow comes to life and kills some people, and then we're at 810. And then we have our main Viking clan, Jarl, and I have no idea the rest of the names. I don't even know Jarl. Even in the credits, it doesn't say Jarl. I look like, where's his name? It's not. There's no Jarl in this movie, or they didn't put him in the credits. And I'm sure it could have been something else, but I think there's like I don't know. His name's not in the credits, but even on closed caption it says Jarl, Jarl. So I don't know. It could be a mishap, but they say it constantly, so I have no idea. But nonetheless, I digress. It's just one of the many things in the film that's just totally wrong.
Weird.
Yeah. So we have, So we have this Viking clan that lives in like, England, New England, and so they live in the forest, in the woods, and one of the Vikings' daughter is missing, and it's taken away, and like one of the villagers saying, "Oh, Hendrik took her away," and Hendrik, he's the guy who played Hendrik has become a staple now for almost every movie we do every time in this marathon, because he was in our Monsters Day marathon in Winterskin, and he was in another one as well, but here he is now, and I think he was in Halloween Jack, in one of the Halloween Jack films. So he's a pretty, again, well-known.
That's probably why he looks familiar to me.
Yeah. He was the dad in Winterskin, and he was, like, I guess the guy that knew everything in Halloween Jack. Like, oh, you don't believe me, because he was the crazy old guy. But he had, like, the big bushy beard. But he plays Henrik, who is sort of a heretic in a sense. And he takes the one Viking's daughter, and he tries to rape her, but she gets away. And then Jarl and his other Viking buddies decides to banish him from the village. And so they take him to the field that is cursed, or just Badlands, because of something that, again, you really don't know. It's just like, oh, it's a Badlands. And it's just this big crop of fields and everything like that. Time to this, the Scarecrow. And he gets loose, and then he goes to a witch, and she says, for your, what do you want? And he wants revenge, because he was banished for attempting to rape, technically probably a minor, and he wants revenge. I was like, that's an odd thing for revenge, even though it has, there's really no reason for revenge. I mean, it's pretty justified, but nonetheless, we have to have something to where he gives his soul to the witch, and he gets the new life form, which is the Scarecrow, which looks horrible. Halloween Jack looks almost a little bit better, and that's saying something. At least the first Halloween Jack, because it made it has the light up face and lantern and the hat. This one, it looks like someone took like a Leatherface mask and it melted in the sun, or somebody that had cerebral palsy. It had a long droopy face. It just did not look good.
It looked like a bad version of the Scarecrow mask from the Dark Knight series.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, it did not look good. And
nope.
Yeah. So he comes back as a Scarecrow to get, again, revenge on the village or the Vikings that banished him for trying to rape someone's daughter. And that's the plot of the movie. Not technically the plot. That's the main Scarecrow plot. So he has 2 days to get revenge, and then he'll die, right? And so we have to follow Jarl and his group of people, and this other plot line of Jarl and the witch and stuff happening, people walking in the woods, and then the Scarecrow attacks them and kills them in unimpressive ways. This movie was not good. It was very dull.
No.
And there's no interesting kills. There was no inventiveness to the film. And there's parts of the film where like they have the editing is done poorly. There's scenes where it's just like, why is the camera pointing off to the side instead of showing the person's face? Like it's a little jarring, just where it's like choppy in the director of photography did there. And it just looked, it didn't look good. It was, poorly executed. And again, lower budget, whatever, but still, there's movies that we reviewed that's done $300. Remember that one film we reviewed that was $300? And the camera was positioned perfectly and things, it looked professionally, and it was $300. It was coherent, and it's just like, Jesus. And you compared that to this, and it's like, why is this shaking? Why is it showing me forest and the ground and the girl's forearm instead of her face when she's talking? But there's like that, and then there's scenes where it's showing parts of the Scarecrow's hand. There's constant shots of the Scarecrow's hand, like three or four, and they make this a big point. Like it's just like he has sharp pointed fingers like claws, and nothing ever happens to it. There's no kills with someone getting their throat ripped out or their eye extracted and then like tossed to the ground. That would have made something interesting, because of like, what's the point in showing these sharp razor fingered talons and giving us unimpressive kills where you didn't even think of using the fucking sharp pointed nails and killing somebody with it. It's like the perfect opportunity. It's missed, and that's the one thing with this film. It's just like a giant missed opportunity, because you think Scarecrow versus Vikings, they would have like some kind of cool battle, but no, it's just there's hardly anything like these Vikings doing anything with a Scarecrow, because the Scarecrow just talks them and just like stabs them. One just like a big lady falls on a stick and he just steps on her and it goes through her. You don't even see it go through the other end. And then the one where he just puts a guy's head in between a tree stump. It's a double tree stump, so it's a V.
He could have got out of that.
Just breaks his neck. Yeah, he could have got out of that fairly fucking easy. But and he just kicks his head, breaking his neck. I mean, it's very uninspired with these kills. Like,
I was hoping that he was going to get decapitated.
Yeah, there's not even. He has the scythe, and there's not one head decapitation.
That made me so upset. I was like,
the person's back.
You literally set it up for the best decapitation scene, and you just okay.
I take that
Okay.
back. There is one decapitation, but it's Scarecrow's head. But that doesn't count.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
That doesn't count. Because that's fucking easy. Like, fuck, they didn't want to put no fucking... They have CGI blood spurting whenever the scythe gets removed from the body. And there's just nothing. And then the story is just... It's awful because it's just like there's nothing. Like I said, it's one big giant missed opportunity that they don't do anything with. Like, you'd want, like, the Scarecrow, because he's like, oh, you know, we got to do this thing with the Scarecrow. He's killing the village. And then we'll get into the last act of this, because there's a lot of shit when it comes to the fucking choices in this film. The writing in this film is just, again, it's poor, because it's not very interesting dialogue. It's just scene to scene, you know. It's just like, it's just nothing. It's non-linear, doesn't really matter to the central story, and it's just Viking to Viking talk, talking about Valhalla, and then you have Jarl and his daughter who wants to be a Viking and help her father, and he doesn't want to do that. And then there's like this, again, thing with her mother, which we'll get into, and there's just like, there's really nothing, like I said, when I finish it, like, there's no meat on the bones. There's nothing to hang on to. It's just 82 minutes or 32 minutes. I don't know. It's like it's a long, you know, dull watch. That's all I'll say. It's like 92 minutes and long, and there's like nothing, and you barely get any Scarecrow, hardly. I mean, anything worthwhile, because all he does is stand around and stand by a tree, and then he disappears, and then he has teleportation powers that don't get brought up. Apparently he can do that because of the witch's power.
There's a one shot.
Yeah. It's just there to get him from place to place just because there's that word's going to come into play this month already. But yeah, it's not very good. It's very dull, and it's just, you know, not interesting, and there's no inventiveness to anything. Like, at least if you have a Scarecrow movie set in Vikings, have like a battle. I mean, even the sword battles themselves felt like it was awful. Like, this is bad. And then you had the witch who had like a perpetual orgasm at that one point in the film, where she's just shaking and going into convulsions. And like, Jesus, she's having a really good time. Someone's flicking that bean good. And it's just like, like, I gotta have a new soul, and you know, she's starting rubbing it. But yeah, it's just like, some parts of the film you just kind of felt bad for the actors. Like, they're really trying to give it their all, but it's just like, it's not even like so bad it's good. It's just like so bad it's like, I'm sad. You know, it's like, oh man, I'm sad you're in this. You know, like, I'm sure the pay was, you know, okay. But, you know, I don't want to get into, like, money and things, but, like, Jesus, like, some of that, like, some of it just felt like overacting, like that black bandit, you know, the female bandit.
Yeah.
She was really overacting and giving it her all. And you just, to the point where, like, when they were swinging swords and everything, it's just like, they really gave these actors giant swords that they couldn't hold. And they're trying to flail them around and look cool, and it looks terribly poorly executed. I know I've given a lot to say, but Ian, I gotta get your points in there, and then we'll go back and forth. So, thoughts?
Right. Jeez, there's so much wrong with this movie, so much, especially like things that should have been reshot, or you know, like. Oh my Lord. Yeah, no, the sword fighting scene, I laughed because I my friends and I used to actually like get sword fighting lessons and stuff when we were doing martial arts. So, you know, I was like, oh God, this is bad. This is bad. And just the acting was subpar. I mean, it's a low budget. Yeah, it can be forgiven. But it was just like, and the dialogue, like you said, was just dull. Like, there was nothing about this movie that, like, interests me. Like, and I wanted to like it because I liked the premise, and I just was trying to, honestly, at one point, I was just looking at, trying to look for things to make fun of just to make this movie a little more interesting to me. And I don't know, it really did have an interesting premise. There was no Viking anything. Like, you barely got any Vikings other than, I'm a Viking. I was like, thank you for...
Yeah, there's like
I
no
almost
big
forgot for a second.
Except for the Scarecrow, Like, at least have, like, long hair and, long beard. Like, do it, like the Viking. But they have bald and no beards. Or mustache.
Yeah,
and just like, Jesus. The closest one to it was the one they fucking outshined. They sent away. Like, Jesus, he's the closest one to a Viking.
Yeah, and it was just like, just, they kept bringing it up. Like, I'm a Viking, we're Vikings. I will always be a Viking. Well, I'm like, thank you for reminding me that you're a Viking. I almost forget, so thanks for that constant, telling me what you are. I was like, it just got annoying after a while because I was like, yes, I get it. You're a Viking. You don't have to keep saying it. And like some of the lines that were the dialogue was very stiff. It felt like they were just like say something, and they're like, okay, let me just make something off the top of my head. And it kind of just like
Charles' friend, his acting or his delivery was very wooden. There's like scenes like again like when Jarl's talking to him, doing the whole Viking stick, but then like his response is just like he should have stopped at one point, punctuation, but he like went straight on through. I forgot what the line was, but there's a point there where there should have been a pause, but he just went straight on. Read the line literally, and just like. But go ahead, Ian. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, you're fine.
Thought a thing that popped up.
Also, like, I was cooking myself dinner while the movie was playing, and I went back to it, and I was like, oh. And I saw what you told me to look out for. And I actually rewound the whole thing and went back to listen and like scanning the areas, all that. And I was just like, wow. I was like, this is more entertaining than the actual movie.
Yeah.
Just trying to
nature in general was more entertaining than the dialogue given between the two characters. Watching a fish jump out of a pond by random chance was the most entertaining thing. Because you think, like, is someone fishing? Or, in the background and they didn't tell them to stop or something? And then you just like, no, it's just a fish just jumps out of the lake right beside the witch. It's like...
And, like, I was listening, like, the audio got really bad, and it took me a second to realize there was a plane going overhead.
Yeah,
like, that's what that's. And then the sirens. I was like, good Lord. I was like, they couldn't have just like, oh, hey, there's a plane going overhead. Let's stop and then do this takeover again. And it's like, maybe nobody will notice. And
like, it wasn't like a big shot either. It was just the Scarecrow standing there. When the siren was going off, they couldn't have just stand there for another couple seconds, and we'll, impose it. We'll edit it in post. But no, they kept that 2 seconds of siren in there.
Yeah.
But again, it's a movie. Things happen, but still, it felt like it could have been fixed. I mean, they're shooting on digital now. It's not like film. They're just like. It's easy to do, the point and shoot and redo things. But
you can just rewind it.
Yeah, we got to get into this fucking conclusion, Ian, because this conclusion between Jarl and his wife, which is the witch. Now, here's the thing.
Dun, dun, dun.
So the Scarecrow is gonna, he wants revenge, right, for what happened earlier, Henrik, because he got thwarted, not raping an underage minor and being, casted out, right? So he wants revenge, and he wants to kill the village of the Viking village. That's his revenge. And so Jarl, he goes and he sees the witch, which again is in turn is his wife, and his daughter is second child, because they had a first child, and that apparently something happened where it died, and that caused her to go crazy. I don't know. It's not really touched on that much, but I guess it just caused her to go into the black arts and seek out Satan. Like, my child died. How dare you, God? But I'm going to have a second child, and it lived. Like, I don't know, it lived or something. I don't know.
I was very confused by that, too.
Yeah. So the witch gives Jarl two choices: to save his daughter or to save his village. And in return, again, his soul. Wouldn't saving his village in turn also save his daughter? Because she lives in the village. And I was just saying,
also,
that
like, the Scarecrow killed, like, half the villagers anyway. That's like, wait. Like, he pretty much killed everyone. And so he got, like, gypped on that. And I was just like,
so,
wow.
All his Viking friends are basically dead. Everyone, even the wife of some of them. And there's only, like, maybe his daughter, himself, and two random people, which I do think, because they saw the Scarecrow, but I don't know if they got killed or not. I already forgot that part. I think they did. But there's only, like, there's not even, like, maybe, like, 3 people in the village, right? And so, again, it's still, again, it's baffling that, like, you save his village, you would also save the daughter. But anyway, he took the selfish route and saved his daughter. But then, after that, the Scarecrow still goes after the daughter. And then it just, like, contradicts itself. It's just...
Yeah.
It was just one of those things. It's like, that doesn't make sense. Like, you should have thought that over again, because saving the village also in turn saves his daughter. It's no one or the other. It's the same thing,
It didn't make sense. I was like, I don't know, maybe there was more people in the village than we got to see. These were just like the ones that people actually liked. I don't know. Like, I was just like, I kept saying to myself, like, wait, the Scarecrow literally killed your village, and you know this, and this is a hard choice, and she knows that. And I was like, and then the girl gets the same offer. I was like, everybody's fucking dead.
Yeah, there's like no, even when we get to the mother and the daughter and the offer, because she wants to kill the Scarecrow, right? And so, like, in return, you have to basically take my spot, innocent. And she accepts, and she puts a spell on the sword, which is supposed to kill the Scarecrow, and it doesn't. Then it does.
And I was like,
and then like, yeah, just like oh, it didn't work because you stabbed him. You have to cut his head off or something. The points, it's over the head. Just like whatever. Because the finale, the finale's not like awful, but like when you think about it, I mean, it's pretty bad, because you're thinking like all these things is just like it doesn't help. It just makes it worse. And then she has to, like, in return for your dad to go to heaven, someone has to die, and so she kills her mother, and then she becomes the witch of the lake And it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and the Scarecrow attacked its makers. Like, you think that, like, it wouldn't, because it seemed like, because she was giving it orders. So it's like, wait, so it's not bound to you at all? Also, I thought it was supposed to get revenge on the people who killed him.
Yeah.
Or left him for dead. And yet he's going after everybody else as well? It just
it does make sense. Like, after Jarl dies because he gave his soul to protect his daughter, then the curse should be it should be done. But he wants to destroy the village, apparently, right? And then just like I never just like, so I'm gonna go after the witch that gave me 2 days to live, and then what's gonna happen there? There's nothing. It was dumb.
Also,
It's
why give her a sword if he's just gonna die anyway? Like,
yeah, like just
lure
him
away.
He's gonna die. It's like 2 days.
Yeah, just like lure him away. Trap him.
Like,
oh wait, no,
at
he
the
has
end of
teleport
the
powers.
second day. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, good lord. It just, and everything, that and the whole witch speech was almost the same as Darth Vader and Luke. I'm your father, search your feelings when you know it is true. And I was like, oh my lord, she's literally giving that speech. That's amazing. I mean, it's just so bad. It's laughable. I mean, I give her, the director, I give her I think it was a girl. That's what it made it look like on the, give her, credit. I mean, she tried to do something, but.
Yeah, like I said, the idea is there. I mean, like, again, you say that with a lot of films. The idea is there, it's just poorly executed. And it needed, again, better dialogue, more interesting script, or characters, or just a reasoning behind things. A vicious fucking Scarecrow. Just like, you have all these things. Like, he should be decapitating people. He should be, again, those claws, you're ripping people's throat out or pulling an eye or just slashing them or something to making like this visceral thing. And they do nothing but show a scythe going into a person's back. You don't see it go into the back because the camera's into the front of the person, and then they just pull the scythe away and it's CGI blood. And it's just like all these things that could have been enjoyable just makes for a dull film. And there's no other word to justify that. It's dull.
Yeah, and just we've seen movies that took like, what was that one movie with the monster hunter where he decapitated everything?
Headhunter. Headhunter.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking it was called. Yeah, I mean, that movie, like, there wasn't a whole lot to it. I mean, there was. And
world building. It was like so world building. Yeah. And you felt it was like medieval times.
Exactly. And it was like, it was, for the most part, really simple movie. And, like, I felt like this movie could have gone a route like that, like, just dark and not trying too hard to, we're Vikings, but we're not going to fight, we're not going to pillage, we're not going to farm. I mean, they talked about being some farmers, but other than that, there was just, like, nothing. And the costumes were, I'm sorry, the costumes were cracking me up, because I was like, that is polyester.
It looked like they were, like, rejects from the Hercules TV series.
Yeah, it really did. And I was like, that is 100% polyester. I was like, the Vikings didn't wear polyester. I was just like, I was texting one of my friends who is, of the Norse religion, and I was like, yeah, I didn't know the Vikings created polyester. And he's like, well, that's true, we did. But anyway, no, I digress on that. It's just, I was just like looking, I just kept looking at it. I was like, no, they wouldn't wear colors like that.
And then
because colors like that.
Oh God, there's the fucking Jack Sparrow ripoff. We totally forgot about him.
Yeah. Did you ever watch the show Vikings?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's so brutal. I love that show. Guy getting his like back hacked into and like his lungs placed on his back, called a blood eagle. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a character named Loki, and he kind of dresses like that. He's got that like Jack Sparrow vibe, like going all over the place. And I was like, he is trying too hard to be that character. And
he was even walking like it.
Yeah, and it was like, and that's how, because the guy was like kind of crazy, like the crazy God-obsessed, the Norse gods-obsessed person, like, took everything to heart. And I was just like, he's trying too hard to be like that. I was like, he's trying way too hard to be that character. And I was going to actually bring that up right when you did. And I was like,
yeah.
I was like, I get it. I get what you're trying to do, dude. But, try your own thing. I mean, you look cool. And I'm not going to lie. Like, you're one of the coolest looking villagers. And that one guy that had, like, really nicely cut hair and styled really well. I was just sitting there just laughing. I was like, what? I was like, come on now. His hair looks too nice. It's too, like, kept up with. I was like, where's the braids? I don't know. I'm going too hard on the
yeah, we're going into freaking hairstyles and looks now, not the film itself. It's just like there's nothing else to go. There's nothing there. I mean, the lore broke, and we're just trying to mend the line back together. It's just like, it's there.
Well, these were the other complaints I had.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not that fun. It's you want a fun movie. You don't want to be bored. And unless it's like it calls for that, like a slow burn, but there's no slow burn in this. Because again, the Scarecrow situation's very minute, and it's just they do the whole witch and daughter scenario, takes more Scarecrow aspect, and I'll give there was some gore. There was that scene where he pulled out the heart. I remember that part. It's like you actually get to see a heart. And but yeah, so like it would have been cool to see some kind of interesting thing with the Scarecrow killing people, but what can you do? So again, I'm sure this isn't going to be the last film that we review from this director, because again, there's another one. There's another couple that was on the list, and then I looked through there like these are all the same director. So we'll try to mix it up. For the next one, I haven't
hopefully
seen idea,
but Halloween Jack.
Yeah,
but again, I kind of probably would have rather watch that.
Yeah,
Halloween Jack.
I don't know. The last one wasn't all that great, but nonetheless, when you're asking for Halloween Jack, you're in trouble. You're like, Jesus, Halloween Jack, save us. But no, I think that's going to do it. It's been a rough start. Usually these rough starts are the way they usually go, and hey, that's November so far, so it makes sense. So yay, 2020.
Yeah. It's almost.
But yeah, rough start. That's the way the world is. So yeah, we'll be back next week with another Scarecrow film to review for our Scarecrow marathon. Alternate title to be announced. But yeah, Ian, as always, it's great talking with you, and hope things go well. You posted and everything like that. And thanks everyone for listening, and we will see you next time.
Good night.
Top reasons your career wants you to move to Ohio. So many amazing growth opportunities, high-paying jobs in technology, advanced manufacturing, engineering, life sciences, and more. You'll soar to new heights, just like the Wright brothers, John Glenn, even Neil Armstrong. Their careers all took off in Ohio, and yours can too. A job that can take you further, and a place you can't wait to come home to. Have it all in the heart of it all. Launch your search at Call Ohio Home.